So the new year is just around the corner and we're only 2 months into. So what have I told you? What I'm about to explain to you here today is going to set yourself up for your best year yet. Hey, welcome to Wow Words of Wisdom. This is the podcast where we talk about all things mindset, all things confidence and taking action, even when it feels scary. I'm Sharon McCaffrey, and if there's one thing I know for sure, it's this. Your mindset shapes everything. The way you think, the way you show up, the way you go after what you really want, and it all starts in your head. So if you've ever felt stuck, doubted yourself, or wondered if you're really capable of more, you're in the right place. Each week, let's break through those mental blocks, shift your perspective, and start making things happen. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I hope you're doing amazing. And if you're not, that's okay too, because this episode might just give you the little kick that you need. So today I want to talk to you about something that always happens around this time of the year. Honestly, like, it does drive me mad. You know that whole vibe when Halloween's over and people just go, sure, it's nearly Christmas. And I even notice, like, in the shops now, like, all the Christmas decoration stuff have been up even before Halloween was over, so it's getting earlier and earlier. And then this is where, like, the gym sessions start getting skipped. The healthy eating goes out the window. The nights out ramp up, and suddenly, everyone's saying, "I'll start again in January." And like, it's still 2 full months. Like that's, for me, that's 2 months of potential, and people just like throw it away. I kind of call it like the December drift. You start winding down. You tell yourself you'll start fresh in the new year, and then by the time January hits, you're feeling sluggish, you're broke, your jeans don't fit anymore, and your motivation's in the bin. So today I want to chat to you about how to finish 2025 off on a high, not on a low. How to be one of the few people who winds up, not down, and set yourself up so that when 2026 hits, you're already going to be flying. Because I'll tell you something, January doesn't have, like, this magic power. It's not going to change your life. The habits you build now are the ones that you're going to carry into the new year. So the first thing I want to touch upon is, like, like the start Monday, like, diet analogies. And what I mean by that is that, like, do you ever notice, like, I know I've been guilty of this, and certainly in the past, it's like, I'll start the diet on Monday, but this might be Tuesday of the previous week, okay? And, I think a lot of us do it, I start in January. And, it's the exact same thing as, like, I'll start the diet on the Monday. When you do that, and you decide that Monday, is going to be the day where you're going to be good. So then what happens is the few days leading up to it, you just eat absolutely everything that's not nailed down, because you're going, like, because I come Monday, I'm going to be healthy, I'll start fresh. But you also know that you're going to be in restriction mode. So you might as well finish, the tub of ice cream. And then what happens? Monday comes and you're bloated, you're tired, you feel like crap. And it's the exact same thing people do with their lives in November and December. They stop going to the gym, they stop showing up properly, they start saying yes to every night out, every drink, every takeaway, every excuse, because in their heads, they're going to be disciplined in January. But here's the thing. You don't suddenly wake up motivated on the 1st of January. You don't suddenly turn into a new person because the calendar flipped. You bring your current habits with you. So if you've been training yourself to be inconsistent or distracted or lazy and reactive through November and December, guess what you're going to bring into January? You're going to bring exactly the same thing into January. And that's why a lot of people end up, they start the gym, but they've quit it like about a week later. The people who smash their goals next year, they're not starting in January. They're already building now. What I want you to think about doing is actually winding up, not down. So everyone always says, I'm winding down for Christmas. You don't hear people saying, like, I'm winding up. Because if you spend the next few weeks winding down, you're going to hit January from a complete standstill. And you know that feeling, like, when you've stopped going to the gym for a few weeks and then you go back and it's pure pain. That's exactly what it's like mentally and emotionally if you check out now. Like, when I went on holidays there, I went to the gym once in the space of a week and a half, and it was so hard to get back into it. But imagine if you're doing that, like, for 2 months, what you're going to feel like in January. If you stay switched on, if you finish strong, you will hit January already in flow. You'll have got momentum, and momentum is everything. If you're already in motion, you don't need motivation. You just keep going. But if you stop now, then January becomes all about trying to get going again. And it's a little bit like, have you ever thought of it like, a car that has stopped, and if you start pushing it, the hard part is that pushing in the beginning until it gets momentum. And then once it gets momentum and it starts moving, it's very hard to stop. So think about it that way. So do you want to spend January trying to catch up, or do you want to be miles ahead while everyone else is still half asleep? This time of the year isn't for coasting, it's actually for compounding. All the good work you've done this year, double down on it now, and it'll pay you back tenfold in the new year. And what you want to do now is like double down on the good stuff. And I'm not saying that you can't go out and have fun. Of course you can. You should enjoy yourself. But what I do is I double down on the good stuff while still allowing for, like a little bit of balance. So for me, that looks like keeping my morning routine still tight, eating clean Monday to Friday, keeping my workouts non-negotiable, still doing my reading, my journaling, my learning, still planning and setting targets. I just don't want to lose the rhythm, because when I'm in a routine, I feel good, I'm clear-headed, I'm confident, I'm calm, and I make better decisions. If I go 2 or 3 days off plan, I end up feeling sluggish, my brain gets foggy and disconnected, and that energy spills into everything. So I've learned to manage that balance. Yes, I'll have the odd drink, but I don't drink 2 nights in a row because I know that will knock my energy off. I'll enjoy the nights out, but I'm not going, on a 3-day bender because I know I'll feel rubbish, after. I protect my energy like it's gold. So ask yourself, what are the things that make you feel your best? What are the habits that actually keep you grounded, clear, and confident? And what are the ones that throw you off track every time? You really want to get to know yourself on this, because if you double down on the good ones now, you'll thank yourself massively later. And then the other thing you want to start doing, which I've already started doing, is start planning 2026 now. And I think that's one of the best things I do this time of year, is planning for the next one. And it's not like a fluffy, like new year, new me kind of way, but strategically I ask myself, where do I want to be by the end of 2026? What kind of life do I want to be living? Who do I need to become to get there? And then I reverse engineer it. What can I start doing now that's going to help me get there faster? For example, if I want my business to double next year, what's, one system or skill I could put in place now that would make that easier? If I want to be fitter, what small change can I make, to my week right now? And the best part is you get 2 full months of momentum before anyone else even starts. And this is what I always said to myself for years: if I keep doing more than the average person, I have more than the average person. So if the average person is winding down and you wind up, think about how far ahead you're going to be. Because by the time everyone else is setting goals in January, you're already halfway there. So if you've been waiting for a sign to start, this is it. Start now, because your 2026 self will look back and thank you for the work you've done in November and December. And I want you to try to always think like a healthy body is a healthy mind. And I've always believed that, if I look after my body, my head follows. When I'm eating well, when I'm sleeping properly, exercising, hydrating, I just feel better. And when I feel better, I show up better. I'm more creative, I'm more disciplined, I'm more patient. And I think of my body like a business tool, because it's literally what drives my performance, my energy, my decisions, my leadership. So during this season, yes, I'll have a night out or a bit of cake, but I'm mindful. I make sure I get enough sleep. I make sure I drink enough water. I don't do, as I said, 2 heavy nights in a row, because I know what that does to my mood and my energy. And the thing is, people underestimate how much your physical state affects your mental state. You cannot think like a high performer if your body's running on fumes. So if you want to be sharp next year, look after the engine now. The other thing I want you to think about is don't put off what you can do today. This is one of the biggest things I ever struggled with. I would say I'm naturally like a procrastinator, so I would put things off. That's why I have to-do lists to stop myself from doing that. So don't put it off until tomorrow. Okay? If it's on my list and I can do it, I do it. Because the minute you start saying I'll do it tomorrow, then that becomes a habit, and that habit kills momentum. So that's why I love my lists, not because I'm obsessed with being busy, but because structure gives me freedom. And when I'm organized, I'm calmer. When I'm on top of things, I feel in control. And that confidence compounds. So every small task you complete, every time you follow through, you're teaching your brain, I can rely on me. And that's how you build self-respect. That's how you build confidence, how you build trust. And that's how you finish the year proud of yourself instead of annoyed of what you didn't do. So if you're listening to this and there's something on your mind you've been putting off, just go do it. Send the email, go to the gym, clear the inbox, start the plan, whatever it is, start it today. So if you take anything away from today's episode, let it be this. Finish strong. Don't coast into the new year. Don't throw away the next 2 months. Don't throw away your momentum. Don't make your future self clean up the mess you made this quarter. The habits you practice now are the ones you carry into next year. So double down on your routines, protect your energy, plan your next moves. End this year proud of yourself, not promising yourself you'll be better next year, because when everyone else is still trying to wake up in January, you'll already be running. You don't need a new year. You just need a new level of consistency. So let's not start the new year from zero. Let's start it from strong. So if this episode gave you that little spark or reminded you to finish strong, please share it with somebody who needs that little nudge. Tag me on socials. I'd love to know what you're doubling down on before the end of the year. And remember, how you finish the year is how you start the next one. So make it count.